detail. The people of the past, for them, one line was sufficient and it was fine. We're struggling, so the more detail he gives us and the more he breaks it down for us, the better. So I'm just letting you know from now, on some of the points when he gets to them, he's going to have like a drop-down menu. So this is point 3, but point 3 has 4 points. And we'll come to that in a moment. So, what's number 2? And as we've said, we're first going to just introduce the 7, and then he's going to start going into detail, inshallah. So, number 2, فلما استكمل العلم والمعرفة بالفرائض انبعث ليأخذ العبادة. Imam Ghazali says, when you get the knowledge, you know the knowledge we spoke about? When you get that knowledge that wakes you up to reality, you recognize Allah's bounties. And what that does, it drives you towards ibadah now. You want to now make ibadah. You want to roll your sleeves up. You want to engage in ibadah. Now, when you start going towards ibadah, and you want to get busy in ibadah, and we all have, how many times have we had this intention? We've had this awakening, this breakthrough. We've all had it, haven't we? At different points in our lives, right? Where we want to worship. So when you want to worship, what happens? فَنَظَرَ فَإِذَا هُوَ صَاحِبُ جِنَايَاتُ وَذُنُوبٍ. This individual, meaning you and me, we start looking at ourselves and realize, hang on, I'm too sinful. I've got so many sins. How can I pray tahajjud? How can I read so much Quran like all these other people? I want to do dhikr, but how can I do it? Like, I've got so many sins. وَأَنَا مُصِرٌ عَلَى الْمَعْصِيَةِ مُتَلَطِّخٌ بِهَا. I'm like persistent in committing certain sins. So how can I be someone who becomes a true worshipper when I'm indulging in sin? So Imam Al-Ghazali, now this is Shaitan's trick as well. Shaitan comes to you and tells you, do you know what? All this worship, it's for the elite people. You're sinful. Like you can't be in that category. How can you worship the way everybody else worships? You can't do that. And we need to understand the masjid and our community gatherings, these are not clubs for the elite people. Some people feel that way. Some people, we shouldn't. Masjids are like hospitals for the sick people. That's what they are. Our gatherings are like hospitals for the sick people. We're all sick. Just because you might pray a few rakat more than somebody else, we're still sick in different ways. So the masjids, Islamic gatherings, our should be like hospitals for sick people. That anybody can, somebody who has never prayed in their life, they don't feel out of place. We don't look down on them or judge them or make them feel that this is just for the elite people. So Imam Al-Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi is saying, when a person wants to then make ibadah, what stops him, an obstacle that comes in his way, is this realization, hang on, I'm too sinful. How can you pray? You've got too many sins. How can you excel in worship? And when it comes to worship and ibadah, you know, you've got two types of people. One is those people who are still trying. And there's the other people who are worshipping Allah. However, there's one thing we have to remember. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. You can't stop. You have to keep going. Keep moving forward. Shaitan will say to you, you can't go beyond this. It's beyond your level. But when you stop, we call this complacency. Remember, there is no complacency in spiritual progression. Remember this line. There is no complacency in spiritual progression. Complacency in other things of the dunya, yes. We can be complacent in dunya, yes. But there's no complacency in spiritual progression. There are a lot of people who are praying and they've stopped progressing. Like they pray 5 times, they've got this routine of 3 times or whatever it is, and they're happy with it. That shows that I'm okay with this much spiritual progression. There is no complacency in spiritual progression. We have to keep moving forward, keep getting better, keep trying to do more. Even if it's minimal and marginal, no one's telling you to jump leaps and bounds. But the moment we become complacent, what happens? We start going backwards. So there's no complacency in spiritual progression. And we'll understand this from Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi's point and obstacle number 2. So when you come to this stage, وَهَذَا حَالُ أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ, he says, most of the people fall in this category. Majority of the people, when they want to do some good ibadah, they want to be on the path of worship, but then they look at themselves and think, this is not for me, I'm too sinful. فَيَقُولُ كَيْفَ أَقْبِلُ عَلَى الْعِبَادَةِ وَأَنَا مُصِرٌّ عَلَى الْمَعْصِيَةِ. They say, how can I do the ibadah? I've got too many sins. فَيَجِبُ أَوَّلًا أَنْ أَتُوبَ إِلَيْهِ لِيَغْفِرَ لِي ذُنُوبِي وَيُخَلِّصَنِي مِنْ أَسْرِهَا وَأَتَطَهَّرُ مِنْ أَقْدَارِهَا فَأَصْلُهُ لِلْخِدْمَةِ وَبِسَاطِ الْقُرْبَةِ. So a person says, do you know what? First I need to cleanse myself. Wipe away all the sins. So then I'm deserving to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get closeness to Him. فَتَسْتَقْبِلْهُ هَاهُنَا أَقْبَةُ التَّوْبَةِ. So this is where he introduces the second obstacle, which is actually, you'd be shocked to hear that this is an obstacle. He's calling this an obstacle. The second obstacle is the obstacle of tawbah. The obstacle of tawbah. The first one was the obstacle of ilm. He said the second obstacle is the one of tawbah. فَيَحْتَاجُ لَا مَحَالَةَ إِلَيْهِ. Like we can't do without it. And the example that is given is, you know, if someone's smelling, for example, they're sweating, and you just put deodorant on, what's that going to do? I know a lot of people, we're not talking about that. That doesn't make sense, does it? First, you cleanse yourself, right? There's no point applying perfume on stench, so that's not really going to do anything. So, you cleanse yourself with soap. Then you apply the deodorant. The deodorant is meant to be an antiperspirant, not post-perspirant, anyway. So, similarly, somebody asked a scholar, which one should I do? Istighfar or Salat ala Nabi? What should I do more? Should I do Istighfar or Salat ala Nabi, which in our Desi term means Durood Sharif? Okay, so should I do more Istighfar or Salat ala Nabi? So the scholar replied to him by saying, Istighfar is your soap, Salat ala Nabi is your perfume, is your deodorant. So you need to do both. And I remember our Hazrat rahmatullah alayhi, he would advise when you go to Medina Munawwara, where everybody is told when you're there, recite more Salat ala Nabi, Durood Sharif, as much as you can. But he would teach us in a certain way. He says on every step, when you take one step, say Astaghfirullah. On the other step, Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Astaghfirullah, Sallallahu Astaghfirullah, Sallallahu alayhi. Because with the Istighfar, you're cleansing, and with the Salat ala Nabi, you're applying perfume. Astaghfirullah cleansing, and then you're applying the perfume. And this is